Hi, hello, welcome. Glad you're back. Today I've got 6 super yummy, simple, and easy to recreate breakfast ideas to share. Some of these you can prep in advance, so they're more like grab and go type meals, and then some you can just quickly put together in the morning if you still happen to have a handful of minutes before, having to rush out the door. The majority of today's recipes are inspired by your Instagram story replies, actually. And this first one comes from my friend Yuli. She suggests a sweet breakfast burrito with banana, peanut butter, and Nutella. That already sounds delicious, and I just wanted to expand on that a little. Breakfast burritos, I normally associate those with eggs. And so for a sweet vegan version, I thought it'd be fun to do a chia egg instead. No worries, we're not going to be doing sweet scrambled tofu. And so the night before, in a glass, combine a tablespoon of chia seeds and 3 tablespoons of water. And then just place that into the fridge overnight. And now the next day, all you gotta do is grab a medium to large tortilla. I'm using whole wheat this time. And just add some smooth peanut butter to that. A small to medium banana, cut into slices. A drizzle of vegan Nutella. I had just randomly picked up this sugar-free version. That was not a conscious choice, but it's really yummy regardless. Next, you're gonna be layering over the chia jello mixture. And then optionally, for some more texture, you can also add a sprinkle of cacao nibs and shredded coconut. Now wrap it up. I normally like to fold over the side that's closest to me, then folding in the sides, and then rolling the wrap further away from me. Now, if you have the extra time, you could toast the wrap for 30 seconds to a minute on either side in a hot skillet, but that can of course be skipped. These are also delicious non-toasted. I highly recommend packing up some raspberries to go or adding the berries inside the burrito because they give you a nice bit of sourness, and that works really well with all the banana and chocolate and peanut butter. Next up, I have a recipe for savory carrot cakes or savory breakfast muffins. Those are fantastic because you can make them weeks in advance and then have them in the freezer for whenever you want. In a large mixing bowl that's not in focus, combine all the wet ingredients first. Unsweetened applesauce, non-dairy milk, apple cider vinegar, vegetable oil. For baking, I always try to use sunflower seed. Now add the dry ingredients to the bowl as well. Mix it up until smooth, and then set the batter aside to rest for like 5 minutes. In the meantime, you can gather and prepare all the extra add-ins. Make sure your oven is preheated at this point to 180 degrees Celsius, and your 12 muffin tin is greased or lined with muffin liners. Now these can go into the oven until golden brown and fluffy for about 30 minutes. You can serve them up like a cupcake. My frosting was hummus, but of course, for a grab-and-go sort of breakfast, like I said earlier, simply freeze these once they have cooled down, and then at any time you feel like having a savory muffin, you could just simply microwave it for a bit or place it into a real oven for a while until fully defrosted. Moving on to this savory peanut toast idea. The night before, you're gonna pickle some vegetables, a carrot and a zucchini to be specific. Cut them both into ribbons using a vegetable peeler, and then transfer those to a glass jar together with a sheet of nori, which you can skip if you don't like the flavor of the sea. Next, add your salt, sugar, I'm using agave syrup, water, and vinegar, of course. I didn't have enough white wine vinegar, unfortunately, so I had to go with mostly apple cider, which is fine, but it's not my preferred choice. The next morning, just toast up some bread, Spread it with some unsweetened, crunchy peanut butter. You can of course also go for any other vegan spread that you think fits. I would recommend hummus. Then add your pickled vegetables, maybe some sesame seeds. Now of course, if you're taking this with you on the go, it being a sandwich is much more practical for that. Some may still think of smoothie recipes as basic, but you know, smoothies are still top tier breakfast option when it comes to efficiency. Go get the blender, add some frozen cherries, non-dairy milk, almond butter, or cashew butter. You could try peanut, but everything is gonna taste like peanut then. Also add lots of cacao powder, pinch of salt, bit of liquid sweetener, although soft dates could work as a substitute. And then lastly, we're gonna add some silken tofu. I did have to tinker around with this recipe quite a bit to ensure that you're not gonna taste the tofu. So you just get some nice creaminess and all the protein without tasting soybeans only. But yeah, that is it. I love this smoothie. It tastes very rich, super satisfying. Close up that jar and take it with you on the go. I finally attempted to make my own vegan cheese. Like, I've made cream cheeses in the past and sauces, but never actual sliceable cheese. And it was incredibly easy. I was so surprised. I made this 24 hours in advance actually, but with at least 6 hours in advance, you should be good. To a small saucepan, add all the ingredients except for the agar-agar, which is plant-based gelatin, and the water. Now mix everything up and bring the heat to medium and allow everything to simmer for about 2 to 3 minutes while you mix frequently. In a small glass, mix together water and the agar-agar powder. I used 2.5 teaspoons of this, but different brands may vary in power, so your cheese might turn out a little bit differently than mine. Now bring this mixture up to a boil and let it simmer again over medium for 3 to 5 minutes, stirring frequently so as to not burn the bottom of the pan. Last but not least, grab your cheese mold. This can really be anything. I'm using a 10 centimeter pie tin for this. That one's perfect for this exact recipe, but you could also go for something like a small lunchbox or even a breakfast bowl. Lightly grease your chosen container with some olive oil before pouring in the cheese mixture. Let this cool down on the counter until it's not really super hot anymore, and then allow it to sit in the fridge for at least 6 hours. Carefully run a knife along the edges of your cheese before lifting the pan. First of all, this cheese is adorable. It still has more of a soft-ish consistency, which I could compare to mozzarella, and the flavor is really nice as well. Not almondy at all. It tastes a lot like my classic cheese sauce. Here I'm just putting together a little sandwich consisting of rye bread, some of the cheese cut into slices, some tomatoes, some sadlik and basil, and on the other side I spread some hummus. This last and final recipe, it's a sort of healthier dessert breakfast, might be my favorite out of today's bunch. You're obviously gonna have to do a bit of prep for these, but nothing too wild, no worries. First, line a baking sheet with parchment paper and add a handful of cashews or almonds to that. Allow the cashews to roast until golden brown and fragrant for about 8 minutes. Keep a close eye on them. I almost burnt these. Like, they're just edible. In the meantime, prepare some chai milk. So just add some non-dairy milk to a saucepan followed by 2 tea bags of chai tea. Bring the heat up to high first, and then as soon as it reaches a low boiling point, you then turn the heat off and let the tea steep in the milk for 5 to 10 minutes. I would definitely recommend swirling the tea bags around a couple times. That just prevents any weird milk layers from forming. Next, grab a food processor and add some dates, some quick cooking oats, the almost burnt cashews, some salt, cinnamon. I also added some ground flax seeds here. Now I'm just blending this all up for a moment until it's all finely ground. And now, depending on the moisture of your dates, you might have to add more or less milk. So I'm just adding 1 to 2 tablespoons at a time until the mix becomes slightly sticky. So if you were to roll this into energy bites, you could do that really easily. Set that aside. Now back to the chai milk. Remove the tea bags and pour in some soy cream or some full-fat coconut milk. Aside from that, also add some syrup or sugar and some cornstarch that's been dissolved in water. And then bring it all up to a quick boil and let it simmer for about 2 minutes or until you've got this runny yet slightly thick custard consistency. I bet you could also work with agar-agar here again. Might try that next time. Now it's time to assemble these inside 2 little jars so you can actually prep 2 breakfasts. Yeah, place them into the fridge for at least 2 hours and for up to 48 hours. I'd made these early in the morning, so this first one was more so like a late night snack for me. I had put a little bit of vegan sour cream on here, plus some banana slices, or just go without topping and just take it with you on the go. To make this recipe even simpler, you could also skip the making of the chai milk and just go with yogurt instead. Perhaps add a couple chai spices if you're feeling extra fancy, and you should be good. I know, I have not been on YouTube in a minute, and I feel like I've been saying that all year, but for good reason. The secret project that I've been teasing you about and that I am soon allowed to officially announce, that big project is finished. I sent it in last week. I still can't believe that it's done and over. I feel so relieved, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, what's next? Oh, people are actually gonna see that. But that's a thought for another day. Anyway, I'm so excited for you to see it. I'm so excited that now I have finally the time to put my entire effort and focus into this channel. And I'm pretty active over on Instagram now as well, so feel free to follow me over there. So it's lots of fun stuff happening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming back as well. I really appreciate it. Feel free to leave me a like and a comment telling me what videos you want to see in the future. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!